Yeah, man. I mean, everything changed as you and all of our fellow artists, I'm sure, feel and know. It's like all of my gigs from uh March, April, May, they were all canceled or rescheduled, and it's quite a shock when it's like your whole your main source of income and your whole schedule just get like cleared,
Yeah.
so that was, and even now it's like, okay, well, nobody really knows what's happening coming up, so it's still, who knows when we're going to see live shows again. And so I made a pretty quick pivot to figure out, all right, I got this audience online, and I've been building this audience, because my other passion and love has always been to create content. And when I was on the road, I was always like, oh, I really want to get much deeper into my content, but I'm tired because I'm on the road. So it's kind of, it's hard to fully commit to it. And now I was like, all right, well, this is the time. It's like the world is giving it to us. So one thing I started doing was hosting online workshops. And my bud Leo P, we have a collaborative band called Too Saxy, and so we did the first slew of workshops and are still doing them. And man, it was fantastic. Like the first one we announced, and we had lots of cats join us, and we created a curriculum within that workshop. And it was really like a very positive thing for us and for our fans and students, because we're all at home and isolated, and a lot of our students were just feeling down and bored, and they really started to look forward to these workshops. And actually we we do too. We have a blast, and it's like the chat just lights up too, like we're teaching stuff, everyone's learning, but also folks are communicating and joking to each other and just like giving each other advice and being there for each other. And it's really turned into a community, and we call our peeps Sax Gang. Well, they named themselves. And
That's how it had to have to do it. Yeah.
yeah, it just fit. We're like, Sax Gang. We got a whole thing we do with our hands too. It just feels so good to go into a workshop, or we hold weekly office hours, which is our time to we invite all of our gang to send in videos, and then we give them our honest feedback after we watch the video right there in the moment. We give them our feedback on the music part, on their stage performance. We talk about music. um, and it's just been this really, really positive thing. I've been experimenting with virtual concerts as well. I've had quite a few venues reach out to me and wanted to support those venues. And so I would do a show. I wanted to just offer my shows and presence to my fans for free, especially to help people who are struggling,
Yeah.
emotionally time, just give them something to look forward to. So I did, at one point I was doing like a stream every day, and now I'm just trying to find the balance, because I mean, as you know, it's like I actually feel busier than ever, which is so wild to say, right? Because like being on the road is so busy, and I never thought anything could be like busier or more tiring. But now it's like, oh, there's so much opportunity online, and really cool opportunities, people reaching out, and I want to do all these things and also help get my name out there, and the things, and also promoting other artists who are doing really cool live streams. So it's now, all right, what do I want to focus on, and how do I allot my time to that? To get to your question about creating a structure, that has been something really interesting for me. I've been experimenting with how I want to lay out my days. I'm up every day at 8 a.m. and I'm do my meditation, make my coffee, and do my workout. Like, I got my morning routine, and it just sets me up for the day, because in this situation it could be so easy to just, have it be whatever. And I think that no structure within kind of a structureless thing, without making structure, it would be tough for me. So I have my morning routine, and then I'm trying to carve out my creative time versus like the admin business time. Um, I follow some really interesting creatives and entrepreneurs like Tim Ferriss, who talks about like batching, and he's like, all right, on Mondays I'm just gonna do my creative stuff. Like on Thursdays I'm just going to do all my emails and blah blah blah. So I'm still trying to figure out what works for me, because sometimes, especially with the internet, I'm working on something and I just get distracted. And I'm like, oh my God, wow, that's cool. Oh, they're doing that. Oh, this is like, oh, another virtual workshop. Oh, wow. And then it's like
Yeah, you
2 hours.
just get sucked in.
Yeah. Or like DMing someone, and I'm like, oh my God, I completely forgot what I was doing, So I'm really, and there's also, I don't know how you feel. I'd be curious to know how you feel about this, Kevin, but I feel like with so much screen time, I start to get a little bit grumpy when I'm just looking at the screen. And I realized the other day, like, I got to either integrate more breaks into it, or maybe just do some more manual writing. And then when I do sit down at the computer, it's just like, boom, type it out. But I'm not really used to doing this much sitting and staring at the computer. So that's also like, all right, I'm just kind of making notes of what's working for me, what's not, and then I'll try to experiment and create a little plan for myself. I got my task list and my to-dos. I'll tell you something I really struggle with is my email. It's like, I don't know. I know all about zero inbox and people like having systems for their emails and stuff, but I just can't. I'm not going to say can't, because I know I can, but it's hard for me. I like open it up and I see a slew of things, and then I'm kind of like, ah.
But are you getting sucked in? Are you getting sucked in by like actual like requests to you, or you just mean that because over the years you've just built up, subscriptions to so many things, it's just like it's really just notifications of things, or is it
These
both?
are,
I mean,
that's a great question. I'm talking about like requests.
okay,
Um, can you do this? Can you send this video? Can you? And
yeah,
again, it's like really a question of, oh, what do some opportunities I jump at and I'm like, yes. And I think those are the ones in my gut when I know I'm excited about it. Like when you asked if I wanted to do this podcast, I'm like,
yeah. I'm
yeah,
glad we made the cut. Then I'm glad we made the cut.
no, heck yeah, that sounds awesome. But the reality of email is you could sit there all day. I'm saying you, but like any individual could sit and do their email all day and feel really productive. They actually haven't like worked on your craft or your art, or so it's a, but it's hard because it's such a self-gratifying thing, right? As soon as you send something, or as soon as you have like a clear inbox, it's like, oh, I feel really good, and it wasn't that hard.
Yeah, it's like you're getting distracted with the easier win for
Yes.
the away from the harder, the thing that doesn't get, it's again short term versus long term. Like you're like, oh yeah, I knocked out 50 quick emails, and you feel like you did actually tons of work. But like the thing, like what you're talking about, your craft, yeah, maybe for the hour of input you don't even get a win in that sense, but that's necessary to get the larger long term goals that maybe deeper you want. So 100%.
Yeah, the other thing I've really, so I'll update you when I figure out, if I
Yeah,
figure
let me
out
know. I want to.
to do that better. But the other thing that's been helping me for structure is, you know, I really do try to plan the harder thing, or the hardest thing that I need to get done, or the most urgent thing, like before lunch.
Gotcha.
I just have more energy, and I'm just one of those people that it's like, if I keep pushing it till later, it's just gonna be later and later and later. And yeah, I think it's important to sit down with your creativity, and just whether anything's gonna come or not, or creativity or marketing plan, or making a YouTube video, whatever it is, just like show up and do do the hard work, you know, the
Yeah.
practice routine, and yeah,
No,
whatever it
I
is.
think you're hitting on a lot of things. I mean, one, like you talked about, just to recap, kind of like one, yeah, be aware of your of your own self and what works for you. Like, so that, and then of course there's some number, like your, you know, whatever, whether it's your circadian rhythm, you know, if you're a late riser, early riser, I mean, for sure, I think we're pretty similar. Like getting up early, getting a physical, get the things that work, you know, really help everyone, which is getting a physical routine into your routine, and also getting some sunlight, getting outside. I, you know, to what you were saying about being in front of a screen, I think it's also just like you're inside. So you're not even getting, I notice a difference when the days that I'm stuck at a computer all day is the days I'm actually wired into the night. And it's not, it's just because my body didn't get the timing of like, hey, you're supposed to get tired now. So I think some of these basics are really essential when the, you know, they're, like you said, it's, the schedule is up to you. And then the last point I think is just that, do you think that this, it's as terrible as this whole situation has been for the musicians, because it gets rid of the commitments of gigging, which was a huge, you know, focus, and just they didn't have time for anything else, that to what you're saying, you really get to sit down and go, wait a minute, what do I actually want? What is my thing? What is the thing I actually want to work on? And like it's almost in a way allowed you to focus on that and really introspect on what you want to do with yourself as a creator.
I
Like I,
think it's, and yeah, I think it's an unbelievable opportunity. I'm really actually grateful for this time. And I think it's kind of, you know, and I hope everyone out there is staying healthy and well. That's the most important thing, and sane and happy. But I think kind of the halt that was just put on
yeah,
us
globally, yeah,
create,
yeah,
and suddenly the thing that we know the most and maybe is a big part of a lot of people's incomes, or it was just taken away. It just shows like there's this, wow, it's an opportunity to take the time to really focus in on what is it that you want to do that you've been saying you've wanted to do but couldn't do because you didn't have the time, or because you're always on the road. Is it rest? Is it a new body of work? Is it uh, you know, a new course or a podcast or a video series? Like, so I'm spending a lot of extra time now also like watching YouTube tutorials, trying to get my video editing chops better, working on mixing, like all those things that again was just always like, oh, I really want to be able to. Well, now we have the time, so
yeah,
use it.
yeah. We're,
Take
yeah,
the,
the excuses are gone.
yeah, so you got the time. This is only, I mean, I can't, nobody can say when it's gonna blow over, or if it would ever happen again, but I can certainly say it's quite unusual, so take it while
Yeah,
we I think this is also, you know, for some folks, it's, I certainly have my days that I feel really not motivated, and it's tough. So I think it's just it's balance of like what you said earlier, finding what works for you. Something that helps me is like writing writing it down when I'm feeling overwhelmed. If I want to do this project and that project, and I just can't decide. Da, 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 da. And then figuring out from my list, all right, what's the top priority that I think really excites me or helps advance my career or a great business model, and then really focus on those things. I'm trying really hard these days to say no to a lot of things and just focus on um, the things that I want to execute and just do them well. I think, you know, I deal with a lot of FOMO, and I'm sure there's other artists that do it as well. And you're like, okay, I want to be in 10 bands and it also depends on your goals. If you're a side man or woman and that's like your love and you're playing with different people and like that's rock, and that might be your focus. For me, I'm a band leader. I'm, you know, running a business, and there's just a something that's really helping me is just focus on fewer things and just see that they get done well and successfully, and that I have the energy and the output to focus on them. It's also a brain, it's also a thing for the space in your brain too. You only got so much capacity, and if you're
yeah.
all
Before you just hit overwhelm and.
Yeah, over I see it a lot, man. Even with other musicians that sometimes sub in my band, it's like the nature of being a musician or an artist, you got so much going on, so much juggling. Back when cats were running all around the city playing gigs too, it's just gonna be a lot to handle. So